Are you ready for the annual Social Connections Summit? It's happening August 5th and 6th. This year's summit theme is all about building trust and connecting authentically. That's in both your personal and professional life. Experts, coaches, and social wellness practitioners from all over are going to gather to this one spectacular event to help bring the joy of connection, community, and camaraderie to you. If in your personal life you feel unsupported with your current social circles, or if you don't have a group of peers that are close to you in age and share your interests and lifestyles, if you feel shyness or anxiety when meeting new people, this event is for you. It's going to help you improve your personal life. And in your professional life, if you feel more like an outsider than a team member in the workplace, if you feel like you don't have peers at work that know what's important to you, or if you feel like you always have to go along to get along, you need to be at this event. I promise you, you will leave empowered with skills and knowledge to create the social, emotional support that you need in both your personal and professional life. You don't have to just be friendly at work. You can actually be friends. Come find out how. Early bird tickets are on sale now until June 1st. Early bird ticket holders will receive a private, personalized one-to-one coaching session from up to 3 different coaches of their choosing. That's right, early bird ticket holders will receive private, personalized coaching. If you've been afraid to invest in a coach, this is your opportunity to test drive. If you want an experiential learning environment like none other, where you're going to gain insight from world-class professionals, be empowered by personality tests like the Enneagram and DISC assessments, and have an opportunity to network and share your experiences with others who feel exactly as you do, get yourself to the annual Social Connections Summit, happening August 5th and 6th. Go to patternsof possibility.com to get your tickets, or check the link in the show notes. I'll see you there. Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about what's going on with these meetups. Like, when you go to the meetup, you're not making any friends, you're not connecting with people, you're not finding those connections that you want. Maybe there's something that you could consider when you go to those meetups. I'm going to let you know what my experience was and what I've learned from it. Are you ready? Let's go. I don't know about you all, but when I first became an adult, I thought that the way to make friendships was to go to bars, go to places in which people hang out and do stuff, gather. It wasn't really in my frame of reference to go join a club or to do something along those lines because I didn't really have any interests. Like when I was a kid, I had interest in playing video games. I played a lot of Street Fighter and I played a lot of role-playing games like Legend of Zelda. Played a lot of Final Fantasy. That was my absolute favorite. I played all those games, and as an adult, I played Dance Dance Revolution, but I did join a club around Dance Dance Revolution. But I became older, and it wasn't really physically possible or as fun to play Dance Dance Revolution and do those video games and things like that, because those video games took a lot of time and energy and focus, and sinking that into it just didn't seem as fun. I wanted to do something that I could just release and let go and not really get invested in, and I wouldn't find that with video games. So I didn't have any hobbies. That was the point of me telling you that. It's like, after all, I didn't have any hobbies. I couldn't figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And when you don't have any hobbies and you want to meet people, what you do is you go to bars. At least that's what I thought. I watch TV, and that's where people go. They go to the bars or coffee shops, and coffee shops wasn't something that I was doing after work. Actually, I didn't even know how I would talk to anybody in a coffee shop. I thought it was more socially appropriate to go to a bar, because we're drinking and alcohol is liquid courage. And that's a way to connect with people. You just go to bars. So if I haven't nailed it down yet, if you're not seeing that the going to bars was my thing, it was absolutely infuriating because it didn't lead me to the results that I wanted. And what I really wanted was to talk to people outside of the bar. Like, I thought the bar would be a connection point. And so after I realized that the bars weren't the place to go, I started to look online. I found things like events, Eventbrite, and Meetup. And in those meetups, I would go and I would still have these sober interactions. Sober interactions with people over something. There's something we were supposed to connect with. But, oh man, I still didn't get the kind of results that I was looking for. It was like doing the same thing, but just having no alcohol or no liquid courage. Trying to connect with people and not having my brain say anything, not having anything interesting or what I thought be interesting come out of my mouth. I just felt more pressured while I was in that space to connect with other people. But when I was drinking, I felt the pressure, but it felt a bit of relief because, there's an icebreaker. We can talk about what we're drinking or complain about something or what we see on TV or blah, 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 And the meetup, it wasn't quite it. And so what I wanted to share with you is that some of the things that I discovered that I was doing in meetups or that considered about meetups or places in which you're intentionally trying to connect with people. Like, what is it that you want and what are you doing? And so what I wanted to share with you are 3 things that I'd recommend that you examine when you look at going to places in which you're intentional about connecting with people. Like, you really want to be there to meet people. That is the purpose of it. All right. So the first thing that I want you to consider, or I think it's a good thing to consider, is if you're coming on too strong. Now, I want to tell you, if you're coming on too strong, if you feel that you're coming on too strong, you're talking about things that just aren't interesting to people, or you're too intense about stuff, I want you to just kind of consider that maybe you're not in the right place. I'm not saying that you need to change anything about who you are. What I'm suggesting is you notice the caliber of people around you. You notice that these people just aren't on your level. If you're an extreme rock climber and you go out there and you're doing it all by hand, and you've got people who are going to the gym and they just participate in the lowest level on a climbing gym and they do it every once in a while, those aren't your people. If you're really passionate about the thing that you want to do, and you go talking to novices or people who aren't as intensely interested as you, you're going to have a bit of difficulty connecting with them because they're just not on your level. So what I want you to do is just consider if you're in the right place. Consider that you might not be in the right place to talk to the right people. There's nothing wrong with you. Just take a look around. That's it. So, are these people here? Are these people that are here, can they match your needs? That's what I'm hoping that you would consider. What are your needs when you step into that place? When you're intentionally looking out for someone to connect to, what are your needs from that person? Do you know? I think that's something very important to know before you go out there. All right, number 2. Reflect on your past friendships and your past connections. So when you go to a meetup, and you notice that you're having a great conversation or some kind of conversation sparks, and it suddenly dies off when topic A is brought up, or when topic B is brought up, or when topic C is brought up, or if you do something, I don't know what it is that you could possibly do, but the conversation dies, or you feel a disconnect. You're like, oop, they're suddenly not interested in you. There's something about that. If you notice that event, whatever happens, reflect on that. Is that something that has happened in the past before? Is it something that you've done or that you've said that have happened in the past? What I'd ask you to do is not to let it linger with you, not to make assumptions about, this is the reason why, but I'd like you to address it head on. Talk about it fully. Like, I just
I don't know, gave you a pound when I should have shook your hand. That was super awkward, and nobody ever talks to me after that. If that's what's happening inside of your head, I'd like you to consider addressing it out loud. Out loud. Just say it out loud. Like, oh, I feel like, you're never going to talk to me again because of this, and probably laugh it off. Or, I feel self-conscious about me just doing this, and, it may ruin my relationship with you. All right, I know that's pretty deep, and I know it's really risky, and it's very vulnerable. But if you address it out front and they laugh, it's great. You just got that out of the way. Because let's be real. It is an insecurity in you. If you believe that's happening, let's make it secure and talk about it. Put it right out there on the table, and however they respond to it is however they respond to it. I guarantee that what will happen in this situation is that, well, I hope what happened for you, and this has been my practice, is when you talk about those things out loud, you become more consciously aware that you're doing that thing in the first place. So like, instead of doing the pound, you do the handshake. You become more consciously aware because you said it, you talk about it, and then you speak it to the other person. And if they get to know you a little better, and if they're not on the same page with you, then they kind of move away, and that's okay. But you become secure about the fact that you do these things, and what you're looking for is overall security. At the end of the day, with enough practice with this, you won't no longer be secure about the fact that you missed that pound, missed that dap. You won't be insecure about it because you'll find that it's not the cause of your disconnection. You just may have an insecurity about it being the cause. So once you acknowledge it, you kind of move it out of the way to see what else is there. I hope that makes sense to you. And if it does make sense, feel free to email me, let me know, maybe elaborate on this so that I can make some clarity for you, help you get some clarity around it. So number three is, it's kind of along the lines right here. Is be vulnerable. Are you being vulnerable when you go to these meetups? And I'm not telling you to, share your life story and all your childhood traumas, just drop them out there for everybody. No, that's not what to do if you want to really connect with people. But you do want to share some of who you are, what your experiences are, so that you can have a conversation. And I'm not talking about a resume of things that you have done. It's like, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this. I climbed Mount Everest. I drove the fastest cars. I even have a car that turns into a boat. I work 10 jobs and I have 20 kids and all these things that about your life. But what really makes a connection is when you're vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, it's where you share something that's important to you, and you share how you feel about the thing. It's not that you have this fancy car, you have a car that turns into a boat. You feel some kind of way about it. You feel excited about it. You feel excited because it takes you on you've been on these amazing adventures, or you feel sad about it because the insurance is outrageous on it. But there's a feeling about the experience that makes it worth sharing with another person. And so when you're being vulnerable, you're sharing your feeling about the experience. If you don't have any experiences to talk about, you don't have any feelings to share, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to connect with people. Very difficult, because the conversation will stall. And even if you're great at asking questions, people are going to want to know you. They're going to want to know who you are. And if you're a person who can only ask questions, if you're a person who's only able to reflect back what you've heard, they're going to see that there's not much to you. Well, at the very least, you're not showing. And people really, this is from my own personal experience, we like people that we know. We like people who can share. We want to be connected in that way. So, to recap, these three things are, number one, are you coming on too strong? consider if there are people there that can meet your needs. Number 2, go back and reflect on your past connections or relationships. Was there a point where you felt disconnected? Can you identify that and start focusing on talking about it or bringing it to light so that you can change it? And number 3, are you being vulnerable? Share how you feel about your experiences. It's not just describing the experience, but how you feel about it is how you make an authentic connection.
I'll be right back with the Answer Reddit question. What if there was a way to gauge how well your social connections are going to support you? Maybe you've listened to this podcast many times and you kind of wondered, maybe you think your friendships aren't that bad. Maybe you think that they can do better. Wouldn't it be great if there was a quiz or something to help you find out? Well, there is. And that's why I'm talking to you about it right now. Just go to patternsofpossibility.com and you'll find my quiz to gauge how well your social connections are going to support you. That's in your personal life and professional life. Aren't you at least a little bit curious? Go to patternsofpossibility.com and take your quiz to find out if they're going to be able to support you when you need them the most. All right, now it's time for the Reddit friendship advice question. If you have a friendship advice question that you think I should answer, tag me in it on Reddit. My handle is Brilliant and Resilient. That's Brilliant, the letter N, Resilient.
People generally hate me because I'm too honest. I want your own opinion on this matter. Pros and cons of changing myself. Thank you. That's it. That's the end of the post. Super duper short. So I want to read you some of the comments and give my own thoughts about this, of course, and read you some of the comments. Your own personal opinion in this matter of people hating you because you're too honest. I honestly think that happens where you share the truth of your experience, and the truth is how you feel about your experience. For reference, how I feel about this experience, it is my truth. And everyone has one of those things. And when they share it, and if it drastically contradicts the other person, if it holds them accountable for something, if it upsets them in any way, they may reject it. They may not be able to hold space for your feelings. And it feels like a personal attack against you. But I'd like to submit that my idea behind it, or the way I look at it, is that you put your hand over your heart for a physical representation. You pulled out something that's beautiful and amazing. It's glowing. And you extend it to share with this other person. And it was so blindingly bright, so offensive in some way that they couldn't handle it. And they attacked it. And it felt like an attack towards you. But they attacked it. And boom, there it is. Ouch, it hurts. And so you feel hated because of that thing. However, the opinion, so that's what I think happens when you share your truth. And what I think happens is that, the person mentioned pros and cons of changing themselves. And I don't think that it'd be helpful to change yourself. It's from sharing your point of view. And it's vague, but I believe that they mean, I'm going to stop telling the truth. That's when we hide. We hide how we feel about things, and we don't share how we feel about things, and we start hiding. And those people don't get to know us, and we feel disconnected, and we also feel pretty resentful because we believe that no one wants to hear our truth. No one wants to hear it. So the pros and cons of changing, I think that if you stop sharing your truth with other people, you're going to feel resentful, and you're going to feel angry, and you're going to feel like people don't care about you and people don't know you. And it's because you have changed. So it doesn't quite feel good. I would not recommend that this is a process or this is something that you do. I don't recommend that you do that. However, like some of the comments have said, there is, like this comment, honesty has a time and place. That's something many forget or ignore. The truth doesn't have to be insulting either. No, it doesn't. A friend finally got out of an abusive relationship, and I was there to listen and distract. She thanked me, saying I was the only person not telling her, I told you so. The people were right about it, but that was neither the place or time to tell her that. And so I really believe that this comment kind of nails it, adjusting the calibration of when you share the truth. It's not you changing who you are, but it's noticing the impact that you have on the environment and when you share your truth with other people. Noticing how people respond and noticing if that is your desired response, right? If it's not your desired response, then you have the ability, you have the power to change any number of things. Number one, if you want to share it at all and you just want to not talk to them anymore. Number two, if you want to adjust how you share it or when you share it. Those are things that you can change about it. You can still honor yourself. If you don't like the experience that you have when you share the truth, then honor your feelings about that experience and change something about it. It's up to you to be comfortable in your own skin, be comfortable with who you are, and be comfortable with the people around you. You don't have to stay with those people. They don't have to stay with you, right? So that is my honest opinion, my honest thoughts about changing. So what does this have to do with going to meetups and stuff? Well, this is part of the thing. You want to be vulnerable. You want to be honest. You want to share what's important to you with other people. This is part of the process. If you're going to places and you're in a space in which you want to share the truth of who you are, how you feel about the experience, like I used the example of you're a rock climber who just goes and climbs the highest mountains without any gear, and you're talking to people who just can't fathom doing that, you're going to feel a bit of disconnect because they're not going to be able to understand your experience or be as gung-ho about it or be on your level with it. And if you go into these spaces and feel you can't talk about that thing that's important to you, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. You're not going to find the people that you want. So you might be in the wrong space. It's up to you to adjust your feeling, or it's up to you to adjust what you do. Rather, you share the truth. This isn't the place for it. Oops. Okay, go to a different place. Share the truth. See how people respond. If they respond in the way that you desire, then hooray, you're in the right place. And then you can share more things with these people, right? You can talk about the things that are more vulnerable to you, how you feel about some other experiences in your life, and watch how they respond. That is how you connect with people authentically. And another thing, people aren't going to like you. People always aren't going to like you, and you're not always going to like other people. And sharing your truth is a really easy way to notice if you like those people. Because if you share something you like and they don't like it, then you may not like them. Does that make sense? If you share something that they don't like and then they don't like you, well, you don't want to be around people that you don't like, I hope. I hope it's not your mission to get them to like you. I hope it's your mission to be around people who adore you because of who you are, because there are people like that. You just haven't met them yet.
Redditor, thank you so much for asking your question. I know that you didn't ask me to answer it, but I did, and I hope that it helps. Best of luck to you. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.